What's up, everyone? Alex here, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. I wanted to talk about transmaverinity, which is something that I brought up in my Discord server and also on the YB3 blog. I have talked about discovering that I have some sort of maverine gender quality, and I wasn't sure how exactly that tied into my overall gender experience. I just said, like, there's an autonomous quality to my my bigender identity. There's an autonomous malehood and neutrality as well. And I didn't have the best way to describe that, but I have discovered that that experience would be transmaverine. Sort of like how you have transmasculine and transfeminine. Transmaverine would be a transgender autonomous gender experience. Really just highly individualized transgender experience, usually through gender expression or gender presentation or even transitioning. So I talked about how transmasculinity didn't really fit my particular experience. I fit the entire definition of transmasculinity. I'm transitioning in a way that's masculine. I present in a way that's masculine. I'm transgender. I'm a transgender man. I do technically fit under the transmasculine umbrella. I just don't like being shoved into the transmasculine umbrella because it doesn't fit what I need as a term that describes my experience. And I feel like transmasculine kind of sets people up for specific expectations that I cannot fulfill, and it confines my identity to a single quality, masculinity. Obviously there's other words, like trans-new-mask is, transmasculinity and trans-neutrality at the same time, being both trans-neutral and trans-masculine, but combining it into one. I'm not big into that either. My gender expression feels like it's a lot more loose nowadays. I don't seek out masculine or neutral or feminine expression. I don't really put a label to those kind of things. Like, I guess I look like I'm dressing loosely masculine, but I don't really feel the need to give a name to it anymore. It's whatever's comfortable for me. I'm going to grab a shirt and grab whatever I feel like wearing that day. So I still have like women's cardigans in my closet, so when it's like the colder weather, I might wear those, but not really putting any name or category to my gender expression. So transmasculinity does not work as a term for me, but transmaverine encompasses the complexity of my identity: masculinity, neutrality, femininity, combinations of those things. If I'm leaning more one way than the other, if I'm feeling more soft masculine, transmaverine feels like it would encompass that experience. I may look like I'm traditionally masculine presenting, but it's sort of its own self-identified masculine expression. So an autonomous masculinity that I could call transmaverine, meaning that there is a maverine masculinity. It doesn't look like the masculinity you would traditionally think. I plan on using maverine to describe an autonomous self-identified experience with gender. I wanted to read an excerpt from my memoir, which sounds so strange, but I'm writing a queer memoir. I've been doing this for quite some time. I wish I had remembered when I started this. I've been working on it for at least a year. I feel like it's been longer than that, but with every new gender discovery, I've got a new chapter to add to this thing, which helps pan it out, helps it helps get me to the completeness that I'm looking for in order to publish it. But I mentioned that maverick comes from, the word maverick, which referred to unbranded cattle. So with that in mind, I mentioned it here. So this little paragraph, it is pretty much like the third to last paragraph before like the final like closing chapter. So I had said, what will mavrinity mean for me from this point forward? What about maverine presentation or expression? I was never into the transmasculine label, despite technically fitting the definition, because that sets up too many expectations from other people. It also confines my expression to a singular concept. Transmaverine, though, I can see myself getting behind that because it is entirely free from any limits, constraints, or expectations. To me, mavrinity is the layer that says no matter what it may look like to you, my gender has this specific quality that is nothing like any other. Sure, I might dress masculinely, but it is still with mavrinity in mind because it's my own personal brand of dress. Remember the unbranded cattle? Unbranded in this sense means unbranded by other people, which means no one else can place me in any kind of box but me. Of course, this means that I have a foot in each box, maybe a hand or two, but it's my choice to dip into all these aspects of gender and claim them as my own. So that is the autonomy coming out in this explanation. That is basically me saying my masculinity is just me. My gender is just me. And it is still a malehood. It is still masculinity. It is still a non-binary experience, but at the same time, it is a maverine experience. And calling it transmaverine kind of gives me sort of a reference point, sort of like now I have goals in mind for how I want to self-identify, how I want to explain my gender without sticking to the non-binary label so much. It's like, oh, I experienced non-binary malehood, but there's like way more to it than that encompasses so much more that people may not think about when they think about non-binary experiences. So it is outside of a lot of traditional gendered constructs. Basically, transmaverine is going to be the overarching umbrella of all the rest of my identity. It encompasses everything I experience as a man, as someone who is partially neutroid. It encompasses the non-binary label, and then under the non-binary label is bigender, and then underneath bigender is male, my non-binary side, and neutroid, my abinary side, and all encompassing all together is this transmaverine experience. I think that is probably the best way that I can describe my gender without so much wordiness. I guess that is it. I'll still probably talk about transmavrinity, about mavrinity in general, but I kind of want to call this like the last sort of coming out video. Well, there's no last coming out video. I thought my last coming out video was Demi Boy, and then I thought it was bigender. So anything can change, but now my videos moving forward will have this new transmaverine label in mind, where I can now talk about like a context for my genders. So that's about it. Hope everyone is doing well. I feel like I say that in every video, and it's just kind of a random short sign off, but I do genuinely hope everyone is doing well. And I really have the Maverick community to thank for my newly discovered identity, because I have discovered an identity tangential to their experience. Maverick is a maverine gender. Maverine genders are anything that are Maverick and anything like similar to that term. So a lot of abinary autonomous genders, Otheran autonomous genders. Yeah, the Mavericks feel like cousins. They feel like I can relate to them, and we have very similar experiences, and I don't identify as Maverick, but I have a very similar gender experience to them. So, thanks to their community and Maverick Visibility Day, I was able to make some very interesting self-discoveries. So thank you, Mavericks, for that's my left hand, for your service. I don't know if that's offensive. But anyway, I'm signing off for now. See you later.